We asked Dan Infalt, Don Higgins, and Jared Scheffler what happens when you bump a buck. Really interesting conversation. Hope you guys get some value out of this. Here we go.
A lot of time it's, I'm pretty aggressive, but it's a lot of it's observation stands. Like I'll observe an area from a distance from a real high tree and burn a hunt that way before I move in.
Hoping to learn something about.
Right, and I'll just keep creeping that until I get a sighting on them. But like I said earlier, those big bucks are kind of hard to kick out of a core area. Yeah. A lot of guys think, well, if I put too much pressure on him, he's going to move to the neighbors or something. Maybe, but probably not. And you're certainly not going to kill them by being passive. Yeah. And to me, if you're passive on a deer, what you're doing is you're teaching them. You know, if you get not quite close enough, he just learned that you're in there, because he's going to come through and he's going to smell you. No matter what you do, he's going to know you were in there. Yeah. So he knows he's being hunted, and you're just, you know, slapping him on the ass and saying, hey, I'm on you. I'm hunting you. Yeah. You know, I like to catch them really by an aggressive move. So if I sit back and watch, but when I go in, I'm right there. I'm right on the door where he comes out.
I think I don't think when bucks are young, I don't think there's some young bucks that are smarter than others, and some of them just learn to go here or there and stay safe. I think they kind of luck into it when they're young. They find that spot where they're not being disturbed, and they remember it. They remember from past seasons. And, you know, once you bump a buck twice from the same spot, that's no longer a sanctuary. He's looking for someplace else. Sometimes you can get away with it the one time, but the second time it's over. He's finding a new spot to lay his head when the sun comes up.
Do you think that that's kind of the secret to preserving a property and not overly influencing it from the start?
Well, you know, that question, or the answer to that question is based primarily on the type of cover you're hunting. If you're in a big woods area, such as what you're familiar with, probably hanging a stand during the season is not that bad of an idea. Yeah. But I'm hunting a lot of small woodlots and small narrow travel corridors where you got to be really careful to keep from bumping those deer. So I want my stands all in place before season ever opens. Actually, in the spring, before things green up, I want all my stands in place. And then I just, you know, wait for the time to be right based on, you know, a whole list of previous intelligence that I've gathered on that deer. When the time's right, I'm going into a stand that's pre-hung. I've never been there before during hunting season, so I've not left scent at that location, you know, for months, and slip in and get it done. I'm always watching the wind, though. I mean, entrance, the access route to a stand, and wind direction as you're hunting that stand are very key. If they're wrong, you can burn out a stand the first 30 minutes you're sitting in it.
We had to do that with that good, bad, ugly buck that Shay filmed.
Yeah.
You know, I had him at 2.5 yards, 2 days or 3 days before that? I snuck up to 13.
When you were
He
laying
was
on
bedded,
your back?
yes.
Yeah.
And I was in a position where I could have done decently getting up and getting a shot. And then I started to get tired, and I felt that it would be an hour or better before he got up. So then I switched to my back. And, of course, he stood up, and from the moment he stood up, his attention was all my way. And I couldn't get. So then he come by 2.5 yards. He cut my wind, and there's nothing I could do.
Yeah,
you know. But then 2 or 3 days later, we got on him, and there was I think 2-3 different satellite bucks playing with him. We threaded the needle, got in there to about 30, and he caught. I believe he caught our little reflection off the little camera that we have mounted on the big camera, and thought it was a tine, because out of nowhere, all at once, he just V-lined right for us.
Straight on.
Coming straight in, and I shot him at 7 yards down here, 3/4 draw.
Yep.
You know.
That happens
and
too.
I'm almost positive that's exactly what he saw. He saw a little flash there, and he'd been running satellite bucks off, and he just thought that was a tine getting in too close and come V-lining in. There's definitely a time and place where it's like if you're a hybrid,
yeah,
you know, you gain a lot by going in on the ground aggressive.
Boots
and then
on
it's
the
like,
ground.
okay, like especially when you're going into a new area or you haven't been there in a year, going boots on the ground, and after a day or two, it's like, okay, boom, 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 boom. This is where I'd hang my set.
Yeah.
You know, there's good hybrid.
Yeah.
But it starts at the cover ground thing, I think.
Yeah, especially with on the ground. It's very easy to cover ground. You're on the ground.
Here you're screwing a bunch of stuff up, so you got to keep going back to the next one, next one.
Right.